Hello everyone, it's Susie here again from Susie's Crafts. I've had rather a stressful week, so I came into my craft room for a little bit of downtime, a little bit of relaxation. It's a cold, wet, windy first day of winter here in Auckland. We've just had some hail, so it's not very nice outside. Anyway, I've pre-painted this pot. And then I just thought, why not turn the camera on? This is not a planned video. I don't really know how this will turn out, but why not? I'm stressed, you might be stressed too, and this is a great way to unwind. I think it's called active relaxing, doing something to relax. And also, I found this beautiful paper napkin. Let me show you. Turn it around the right way. I just love it. It's quite a busy pattern, so I won't be tearing out small pieces of it. Rather, I'll be using most of it to cover my pot. I wonder if you like it as much as I do. Anyway, let's go ahead with it. I'm just going to work out my placement first, where I want the napkin to go. I think I like that bit there. I think that's quite good. I think I'll take away these side bits down here, and then I'll match up another napkin on the other side, another one the same. Okay, so I'm gonna get my water. I like to use water and a brush just to go down where I want to tear the napkin to make it easier to tear. Some of you will already know that. Just come down like that. I want to go around this flower here. Don't know what kind of flower it is. Is it a rose? Not really rose-like, is it? And then I just come along and tear the napkin, which is nice and easy when it's a little bit wet. You don't want it soaking, but just a little bit wet. I'll tear around this flower. Like that, and I'll just double check that I've got it how I want. Yeah, and I might just tear along the top a little bit too. I think I'll end up painting the rim in a contrasting colour, so I'm just going to tear along here like that. Wet it, yeah. And it should just tear nice and easy. Like that. I'm also going to take some away from the bottom here. Can just leave it on the pot so you know where to put your line, and go around like that. That's pretty good. Okay, now I've got my piece taken out. I'm just going to separate my layers. You just want to use the top layer of napkin. This one has 3 layers, but you just want the top one. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to separate them, but if you put a little bit of glue on your finger before you touch the back of the napkin, or a bit of sellotape, it can make it a little bit easier. This one's sticking just here, which is a pain, but I'll just get that off as best I can. There we go. There's my piece. Get rid of that bit. I'll put that to the side. Next, I'm going to get my glue. And a brush. Give my glue a bit of a mix, and I just want to glue a nice layer of glue all over where I'm going to place my napkin. I've got a nice layer of glue there. Okay, just bring that a bit closer to me. Now, working with a large piece of tissue is much harder than smaller pieces. It's more difficult to avoid the creases and the crinkles, but we try our best. Okay, so I'm just going to place that there. And to help avoid creases and crinkles, you can use my technique with the cling wrap and the damp cloth, which I'll show you next. Okay, I'm happy with that positioning. Okay, I'm using my plant-based cling wrap. Did you watch my last video about it? If you did, you'll know which is the right one to buy. Okay, I need a nice big piece for this big piece of napkin. And then I have a damp cloth here, and I'm just going to smooth it out over the cling wrap to smooth out my napkin. Like so. Now I do have some crinkles here. I don't know if you can see them on the camera through here. And what I like to do is get the back of my fingernail and rub it along. Just like that. And they kind of just disappear. And once you've got your varnish on, they're even harder to see. And I'm just going to keep smoothing and trying to get rid of crinkles as best I can. It doesn't need to be perfect. Once your varnish is on, it's much harder to notice any imperfections. Okay, that's my first piece done. Now I'm just going to go ahead and work out how to position the next piece. I've got a little flappy bit there. I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue over that to smooth it down. Okay, here's my next paper napkin. Just the same, just another one. I decided to use another one because I wanted the same area of napkin on this side. And you may notice it's going to overlap a bit. So I'm going to go down and wet the napkin in those areas to tear it. I think first I will wet the top and tear the top part. If you're wondering why I like to tear the napkin instead of cut it, it's because you get a much smoother edge when you're finished. When you cut the napkin, you get sort of a hard line, whereas when you tear it, the paper seems to blend into the paint a bit more seamlessly, which looks a lot better. Okay, that's my top bit. Down the side here. I'm just going to wet down that crease like that. And that little edge there, which I don't like because it's straight. I'll even take a bit more away. Oh, it's sticking to the glue under there, which I don't want. Now I've got that worked out, I'll turn it and work out this side. Okay, now I double check my positioning. Okay, it's not too bad, but I can make touch-ups. And I'll just take some of this bottom bit off. And separate my layers. These have already started to separate. There's the bottom layer, but I only want the top layer, so removing two layers like that. Get rid of that. And get my glue again. Just going to glue all over here. Nice layer of glue. Plenty of glue to stop bubbles and things. Okay, this bit can be a little bit tricky getting it in the right place when it's a big piece. Let's move it slightly. A bit more over that way. Not having too much luck here. Okay. About there. Turn that that bit over. I'm not going to push it down hard. I'm going to get my cling wrap, take off another good piece, and gently push the napkin down with the cling wrap. Just untuck that turned bit. And just go over it to smooth it out. Look for any creases. Run your fingernail, the back of your fingernail over them. Now I've got a little bit of the turned over tissue just there. I'm just going to get that with my fingers and then smooth that down. There's my second piece. I do just want to smooth out these bits a little bit more. Now you'll see I've got rather a big gap here. And I'm just going to fill that with something from this leftover bit of napkin. See if I can find something that will look nice in that gap. I think if I tear a bit there to fit, it could look good. We'll just take this out and see if I can get the right size piece. If not, I'll try another piece. We'll just trim that down a little bit. It's all getting rather sticky, my fingers are getting sticky. And I'll tear that across the top. Separate my layers. I'm going to add a little touch of glue because one side hasn't got any. And just position that in there to fill the gap. Back in with my cling wrap. And there my gap is filled. So this is how we're looking so far. There we go, I've got another little gap just here and down here. This bit I could fix with some paint, but I'll see how I go at filling it up a little bit. I've got a little piece here. Just going to separate the layers on this one. Touch of glue. Position that. Use the same piece of cling wrap and the cloth. Smooth that down like that. That's not too bad. I can touch up with a little bit of paint later if I want to. Okay, so that's where we're at so far. The next step is to go over all of this with the decoupage glue just to give it its first coat of sealer, and then I'll be back to paint the rim and the inside. Okay, that glue has all dried, and I was trying to decide on a colour for the rim of my pot and inside it, and I was looking at these two colours here. This one is called Sundance, it's quite a sunny, happy colour, and this one is called Yacht Race. It's a bit like a dark, stormy ocean, I guess. Anyway, I couldn't really decide, so a little trick that I do, if you can't decide, get a piece of paper, paint your colour to the edge and test it out against where you want to put it. So I thought that was just too much yellow against there. And then I tried this one, and I just thought it gave the pot a little bit more depth. So I'm going to go with this colour here. And I'm going to do that inside 2 coats, around the rim 2 coats, and on the base 2 coats. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get on with that. Okay, I've put 2 coats of paint on this now, and it's taken quite a while to dry. That's because it's cold here. It's the first week of winter, and in the last 6 months here in Auckland we've actually had a whole year's worth of rain, so it's not very uplifting, but I digress. Anyway, the next step is to cover this with 2 coats of a water-based varnish. Now, I've had to decant my varnish into this preserving jar because the tin it came in started to rust, and the rust was seeping into the varnish. So to save the varnish, I've decanted it into this jar, and that's how I'm gonna keep it. Okay, so my little trick is I do this varnishing in 2 stages. I varnish the base and the sides up to the bottom of the rim, and I'll do 2 coats like that, and then once that's dry I'll flip it over and varnish the inside and the top rim, and that way I've never got wet varnish sitting on the table, and I've always got a dry part of the pot that I can touch. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and start that. Give it a quick little mix. I also like to get into this hole here just to make sure every part of the pot is covered. That way it's all sealed and ready to go. Even though it's varnished, I still recommend you use a liner with these pots, just to make sure they stay nice and last a long time. Also, I recommend keeping them out of direct sunlight, so they're indoors only, and keep them out of direct sunlight because the paper will fade over time if they're in the sunlight. So to preserve that, don't put it in the sunlight. So I'm just going to continue to varnish this, and I might speed it up for you. Okay, my varnish is dry. I've done 2 coats inside and outside, and it's all looking pretty good. There's one more thing I'd like to add to this pot, and that is a thin coat of gilt cream around this top rim here. I've got 2 gilt creams here, both are by Liberon. I've got one Chantilly and one Rambouillet. I've decided to go with the Chantilly. I'm only going to do a thin coat though, so I'm not sure how well this will show up on camera. But I'll show you these 2 creams anyway. The Rambouillet is more of an antique colour, like it's been there a while. And then the Chantilly is quite a bright gold. You can see these are well used. They last ages, but yeah, I've had these quite a long time. Anyway, I'm going to go with the Chantilly, so I'll put the Rambouillet to the side. I've just got an ordinary old brush here. You clean this up with mineral turpentine. But yeah, just need a little bit. I don't want this to be too thick. I'm going to start around the back somewhere. I still want the dark blue to show through, so I'm just doing a very thin coat. But if you wanted to make something really gold, it's just about how much you put on. Anyway, I'll carry on with this and then I'll come back and show you the finished pot. Okay, so here's my finished pot, and I just wanted to show you how this layer of gilt cream really shines in the light. It looks really pretty. Don't really need a really thick coat. And I'll do a little close up on the decoupage. It's turned out really well. I'll give it a little spin for you. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I do hope you've enjoyed my video. Please give me a like and subscribe if you're happy with my video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.